Thank you so much for joining me today, Sharon. Can you please start by introducing yourself?
Yes, I'm Sharon Jarboe, and I'm Director of Admission and Financial Aid at the Pennington School in Pennington, New Jersey.
Great. So, could you tell us a little bit more about Pennington, New Jersey? What is the location and the environment like there, and where your campus is located?
So our campus is in a small suburban town, Pennington, which has often been cited as one of the safest towns in the country for raising children and as number one in New Jersey for raising children. So it is a small, safe little town, and it's 15 minutes from Princeton, which is a little bigger and a little more exciting. And we get our boarding students over there quite a bit on weekends. And every now and then, a student who's very accelerated in math might be over at Princeton University taking a class. So we take advantage of that. But we, for everybody, take advantage of the fact that we're about an hour train ride to New York City and the same to Philadelphia. So we get students who are able to take advantage of weekend programs in music and the arts at high levels in the big cities. And we take everyone to Broadway shows and professional sporting events, museums, all of the fun things that are in the bigger cities.
Oh, wonderful. How would you describe your school community?
Our community is something that we're very well known for. We're known for being especially warm and welcoming. And I think part of that is our commitment to diversity. And our commitment to diversity is a little, we're very proud of it because it began when we were founded in 1838 by the Methodist Church, which had the principles of never converting anybody and welcoming everyone. So in Pennington, you found when other schools were all boys, we were already co-ed. You found international students in the 1880s. You found an open door to Jewish students during World War II. And that history just sort of continues on through today. So now if you look at the composition of our community as a relatively small boarding prep school, you see students from about 40 countries and nationalities. You see students representing all kinds of religions, interests, and backgrounds. And you see them working to get to know each other to kind of bridge those cultural divides.
What is a surprising or little known fact about Pennington?
Well, I can think of two.
Okay.
One is that our former chaplain had told me when I first started as a parent that in the 1980s, we had more students who identified as Buddhist than actually Methodist. And so that was kind of surprising as a Methodist school. And even today, we have a community of 500 and about 30 students, and only 5 are Methodists. So we keep that tradition, but we're certainly not bound by it. And then the other little known fact but it's kind of fun, is that we are the second oldest consecutive running American football high school program in the state, and some people think even in the country. So it's not a big program, but it's part of our tradition, so we like it.
Very cool. What is a favorite dining hall food of either students or for you?
Well, at lunchtime, I think a favorite is the panini bar. And you stand in a line, and there's actually a chef who operates and you kind of design your own sandwich, and he presses it and makes it hot and delicious for you. And then at lunch and dinner, for a long, long time, I think at least 20 years, there is a make your own stir fry station with burners and lots of fry pans and lots of vegetables and tofu and chicken and sauces. And that's really fun when you don't like the other offerings, to be able to kind of make your own.
What is your favorite annual school tradition?
For sure, it's something called Kingswood Day, and it comes from a sister school that we have in the UK. And their headmaster, I don't know when, but more than 50 years ago, visited the Pennington School and taught our headmaster about a tradition they had, which was that once a year, as a surprise, there was a headmaster's holiday, and you never knew when it was going to happen or be announced. And we continue with that annual headmaster's holiday called Kingswood's Day today.
Nice. Always nice to have a day off from school. So
Exactly.
what is something new and exciting happening at Pennington?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question this year.
That's true.
um,
Maybe not exciting. Well, hopefully it
What
is.
is exciting? We're very excited, to be honest, about our fall back to school plan. This is the year of COVID-19, the global pandemic, and you're seeing a range of schools doing everything from 100% distance to 100% on campus. And we have created a hybrid model that we think is really fits our community. And we believe that any model that is intentionally thought out and well planned can work to serve their students. And our model has worked to serve our students in China right now and all over the world who, due to visa restrictions, health concerns, and or travel restrictions, cannot get to our campus. And they will be joining us remotely, while our domestic students, day and boarding, will be on a rotation schedule, 1 week on in class and 1 week joining the other distance learners. So everybody will have some time as a distance learner. Distance learners will not be isolated. But if you walk onto our campus today, you'll find 4 kiosks that every student will walk through in the morning using AI, artificial intelligence, facial recognition, automatically takes their temperature. They get on an app, a check mark, green, proceed, red, go to the health center. And then from those, you'll see lots of big tents. And these are like 9 huge tents to expand our outdoor learning capacity. They have heat and air conditioning. They have glass doors, and and they allow for social distancing. So we are really excited to get back to school. Right now, we already have international students who've flown in from Mexico, from Bermuda, from Italy, and they are quarantining with us before school begins. And they're having fun. The reports so far are so good.
Yeah. This could be related, but were there any other kind of hot button issues on campus or any other changes happening that aren't strictly related to the COVID situation?
So the COVID has consumed us like all schools since last March, just making lots of difficult decisions. One way that we tackle that is that our headmaster is on weekly calls with lots of other boarding school headmasters. And rather than the usual kind of competition between schools, there is an unprecedented level of collaboration and sharing of best ideas and best practices. So everyone should know how much thought is going into each school's. No one's in a bubble right now. It can feel like a COVID bubble, but it's not.
Yeah.
But beyond that, and in the bigger picture of things, an initiative that we've been working on for about 7 years, and it continues with different components, is more experiential, hands-on education. We've always had an internship program for seniors called the Horizon program, and we find that our students do really well out in the real world. They ace their internships, and we want to start to bring that younger, and we've launched a global studies certificate program that folds in an internship. We've launched an applied science certificate program that focuses on either an engineering design track or a coding track, and it also folds an internship in. And we launched a joint venture with University of Pennsylvania on a social entrepreneurship certificate program, and we're looking for maybe like one more program or a sort of universal internship. Now, right now is not the time to be looking to get students off campus and into internships, but some are able to do it remotely, and it's a longer term project.
Yeah, great. How does Pennington balance academic rigor with supporting students?
So I think the rigor is found in really almost every independent school.
Mhm.
And you know that when you see students who arrive to campus from public schools versus private schools, at least in the USA. I'm not speaking about public schools in China. The students who come from independent schools have had a more rigorous background and they're better prepared for the workloads. So we have lots of rigor with the AP program, with the honor certificates, and then with those opportunities for students to take their interests and passions deeper with the certificate programs. But we know that school-related stress is almost it's an epidemic almost worldwide right now. Students have so much pressure on them from their parents, from themselves, sometimes from their teachers. So we try to balance that by helping students create the right schedule for them up front. We agonize over that they have the right balance. We give 3 weeks to make a course change without an impact to a grade if we didn't get the balance just right up front. We have extra help in every subject every day, and we encourage not just kids who are struggling, but kids who want to accelerate or streamline. If you're taking 5 AP classes your senior year and you're also doing 2 varsity sports, you may not have set yourself up for a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
But if you use that extra help, your teachers are aware and they can give you strategies to make sure that you can be healthy and happy and even enjoying the schedule that you've brought onto yourself.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned teachers. So who are the teachers at Pennington, and what types of roles do they play in student success?
The teachers are the heart of our community and our success. And I've been involved with Pennington for 17 years now as a parent, as a teacher, and as an admission officer. And I'm not sure how we do it because it's not the same people over and over. People retire, we hire new people, people leave, we create new positions. So I'm always fascinated as to how everybody onboards into our culture. But through a lot of professional development, everyone seems to arrive at this place where our students are our work and our mission, and every student is different. Every student brings different gifts and different challenges, and it's our job to bring it out of them. And to bring the very best out of any young person takes a lot of work. So our faculty are known for being over the top dedicated. 85% of our families who choose Pennington, who enroll for 6 years straight, have said that an exceptionally dedicated faculty is one of the primary reasons why they chose Pennington.
Yeah, that speaks a lot to that then. What is, you mentioned a couple of programs, but what do you think are the most standout programs or opportunities for students at Pennington?
Well, I think something that we were kind of quietly doing for a long time without formalizing it, but we've now picked kind of a name. It's called student-centered learning. And it would be our version of Harkness or seminar-styled learning. And this puts, everyone's familiar with the big round tables where the students are discussing ideas, and it puts the students at the center of their own learning process. Mm-hmm. And in every subject, it helps with develop the skills that we believe will be lifelong, no matter what. We can't predict what the jobs will be in 5, 10, 20 years. But we know that if you have creative and critical thinking skills, if you have strong communication skills, and if you have self-confidence, those 3 C's, you have a good shot to be successful no matter what field you are in. So this student-centered learning process is helping everyone in every subject to develop these skills. So we're very excited about that. I think simultaneous with the kind of formalizing of that style of teaching 7 years ago, we also started to really strengthen our abilities in STEM. And you would not have seen Pennington students winning national math competitions or passionately competing in robotics and succeeding in coding competitions. We have one of the highest rates of girls who code in New Jersey. We are a small school with a measurable percentage of girls taking like AP coding exams. So that student-centered learning approach has really strengthened our math, science, and engineering. So that's something exciting.
Very exciting, yeah. So in addition to the realm of academics, where do Pennington students fall in, terms of collaboration and competitiveness when it also comes to sports or extracurriculars, or doing all these other kind of, whether it be coding for girls, or what is the environment like for that?
Well, when I taught at Pennington, I was really struck by how truly collaborative the students are. They're not competing so much with each other. We don't do class rank up until the very last minute of senior year, and we want to identify and honor our number 1 and number 2 GPAs just to have speakers. Right. And to acknowledge their success. But no one's thinking about that all 4 years. And we want our students believing that there's room for everyone to succeed and live a happy, fulfilled, successful life, and that to earn their best grades and be their best selves. And so our students are much more collaborative with each other than competitive. Now, on the sports fields, that's a different story, and it really depends on which sport. Soccer, we've been ranked number 1 in the nation for girls and boys. Football, it's an old legacy program, but it's very friendly to get involved. And as we see little guys, we've had international students just want to get involved. Swimming, I think maybe we've won 20 state championships in the Prep B category. We have a student who's going to probably qualify for the Olympics in the 50 freestyle. He's a national record holder. So it really just depends on the sports. The arts, we always want to be collaborative. It's an excellent, well-rounded program. Some people call it the best kept secret about Pennington is our strong arts program, but we always want it to feel safe for all students, whether they feel that they're creative or they're confident in their singing, their drawing, their acting, their music. We want them to explore. High school should be the years not just to achieve and be perfect, but to take risks and expand the base, and the arts are the perfect place to do that.
Totally agree. How does Pennington support international students?
Well, we've had international students since the late 1880s, so we have a lot of experience, and we have seen them through 2 world wars and all kinds of trouble in the world, and also some beautiful, peaceful times. And we support them by letting them know that they are important and respected. We try to honor all traditions, whether it's through community meetings, special community days, in our weekly chapel. We also have an international host family program. A lot of schools used to have it and they dropped it, but we love it, where we pair each and every international student with a domestic family who are kind of their buddies. And we introduce them at a luncheon at the headmaster's house every fall, most other than this fall, of course. And then we ask that those families receive some training so they know what we expect and what it means to be a host family. And then we let the relationships kind of go on from there. We also have a director of international students, and she is residential. She's been with us a long, long time. And one of her real skills is working with the student visas. So she has a direct line to SEVP and ICE and is always helping students with their visas, even when they transfer to college and beyond. And also if anyone needs a place to go during a break and they can't get home. She's had them in her own home, in her beach house, but she's also very excellent at those kinds of troubleshooting and placements.
Great.
ESL, I forgot. We still have ESL.
Yeah.
A lot of the students from China in recent years are coming in with such high levels of English that they don't need it, but it's nice to know it's there.
So it is better to have it as support. Do you have an example or somebody you can think of who's demonstrated exceptional growth throughout their time at Pennington? Maybe they came in, one way and through their experiences and ended up blooming and kind of coming to be a major impact on campus.
So that is one of the hallmarks of Pennington, one of the things that we're well known for in the Princeton area. The majority of our alumni surveyed say that they experienced transformational growth while they were at Pennington. And in admission, I can tell you that every week there's families who come in simply because they saw what happened. They watched a neighbor or a friend's child blossom while they were at Pennington. We had a student who came to us in 6th grade with a diagnosed learning difference. We were able to support him all the way through his time at Pennington. And when he graduated, he went to Princeton University. That was just maybe 2 years ago. So that's one example of how we don't put a ceiling on anyone. We don't think when someone comes in that we can predict how far they will go. We don't even think that when they go to undergrad college, because there's still a long journey from there.
Definitely. So in thinking about the admissions process, what are the qualities that you are looking for in candidates that would make them a good fit for Pennington?
So we're looking, well, I guess I want to say 2 things. To be specific to the Chinese market, we find that the students from China are among the strongest in the world. And they bring this natural discipline, strong study skills, and strong test scores, and a desire for more, a sincere desire to study more and to experience more. And I think it's that desire that brings them to the USA. So what are we looking for in this pool of, we might see 300 applications for 10 new Chinese student spots. And pretty much maybe 80% of those applications have high test scores. So we need to go beyond that. And we're looking for students who are well-rounded, who seem like they're going to want to make friends with students from around the world, and who really want to be at Pennington. We notice in education that people get out of it in relationship to how much they put in and how much they buy in and how much they believe. So a student with a genuine passion to come to Pennington and learn, who seem to really click and connect with our community, even if their test scores are a little lower, we will pretty much every time accept them over someone even with the higher score, but where we just feel like one school on the list.
Yep, that makes sense. So in terms of like looking, within their application, are there certain indicators that help you identify that potential? Like, is it through, you said kind of, it sounds a little bit like, the communication with them, if that's done through the interview, or is that done through, teacher recommendation letters, or, a demonstration of activities or things that they've done beforehand?
It's really everything, and it's how they, how a student presents him or herself through the whole season, through the whole process, no matter when in the season they initiate. And there's students who will stay in touch. And because we're small enough, we like that. We like to hear from our students, to hear what they're up to see that they're trying to build a relationship with the school.
Mhm.
So we're looking for that engagement. We're looking to see, and we look at it two ways with the students from China. We look for well-roundedness, but then we know that some, particularly those in um, more traditional public school environments, haven't actually had the time
Right.
to be in drama and lots of athletics and model United Nations and all these wonderful things, but it's their desire to
Mhm.
do that, of why they're going to travel halfway around the world and leave their families to study with us.
Mhm.
So we try to see um, the desire to be, for that well-rounded kind of typical American experience, and those who are actually poised to do it. If a student is a strong soccer player or drama student in addition to their academics, we feel some relief in that and some confidence that they will find their niche and find their people, that they have an immediate hook. If they don't, but they just demonstrated a wonderful personality and a desire to connect with people and be a member of community, then we will work hard with them once they arrive to help them find their areas of interest.
Mm-mm. Okay, great. So you mentioned, certainly students from China and families do place a lot of emphasis themselves on testing and test scores, but that might not be, the be all end all for you guys. What role does it play in your application process and evaluating students?
I'd say that it is definitely not a sorting machine where we just start with the top scores and go down, because we're looking for the right fit for us.
Yeah.
And the the benefit of that approach is that you do end up with a really diverse community with a lot of heart.
Mm.
The downside of that approach is that your average scores may not be as high
Yeah.
at schools that really emphasize that, and so your rankings may not be as high.
Mhm.
So Pennington is a school where our reputation is very, very strong right now throughout the world. Our ranking is fine, but it's not really that impressive. We
Mhm.
know why, and it has a lot to do with where we put our standardized test scores in the process, but we're not going to change.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's ironic for the families from China, they want, I think they're craving more that interactive learning experience, not just the
Right.
memorize, repeat. But they do have to do a lot of memorizing and repeating to get through the TOEFL and the SSAT to get that ticket
Yes.
to get in.
It's
So
true.
we sympathize with how much work that is. We appreciate it. We applaud it. If I could, I would honestly accept about 80 or 90% of the students from China who apply.
Yeah.
Why can't I? Because if I did, the students wouldn't want to come,
Right.
because
Yeah,
you might as
exactly.
well stay home if everyone is
Yeah.
Chinese, because it's all about that cross-cultural experience.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's a good problem for you guys to have, even though, of course, it makes it difficult, I'm sure, on your side of the desk. So in terms of thinking about another part of the process, how does the interview come into play for students and in the evaluation process eventually?
So we really value the interview, because we look at our community as sort of an extended family. So when we extend an offer of admission, we're not just saying come and study with us. We're saying come and study with us and join our extended family. So getting to know the students more personally is really important. In recent years, because of the volume of applications from China relative to the size of the admission team, there's actually not enough physical spaces to personally interview everybody. So we rely on Varican for the video interview. And we do screen every Varican personally that comes in. We don't just rely on their rankings. And then we take notes, and then we decide if there's students that we'd like to see again for a personal interview. And that may be that there was just something that we felt like this student stood out and might be a great community member, and we want to look a little further. Or it might be that there's just a question that came up when we watched their Varican interview where we want to touch base with them personally. There's no replacing the personal interview.
Yeah.
And if we, and who knows what will happen in time, the size of my team, the size of the applicant pool from China. But just 5 years ago, we did personally interview every student from China. And I would be happy if we return to that. But in the meantime, Varican is an excellent way for us to get to know the students.
So with this year, as it is, obviously, I would imagine you're doing more and more online interviews for not even just Chinese students. But curious, just you mentioned Varican and that process. So for students from China applying to Pennington, they would submit the Varican interview, and then in order to kind of get passed through to like the next phase, is it that you 100% of the time would interview a candidate who would be considered shortlisted for a personal interview, and then if they don't receive that, then it's kind of, they're not eligible to continue applying, or they wouldn't receive that next step?
Yeah, and we have accepted students that we didn't interview just based on the Varican notes. And sometimes when we would tell someone that we really enjoyed their Varican, we'd like to interview them personally. They show up on campus the next week. I don't know how they do it, but to organize their parents' work and their own schooling and flights. But that does happen, and we're thrilled when it does. So it's always a combination of things. Some students send supplemental videos of so we can get to know them. I don't know what all admission officers think of the videos, but I can only speak for my team. They can be really helpful. And the ones, especially that are just made at home, where the student made it themselves, where it's not a big production, expensive video, we will show those in decision committee to kind of bring the student into the room.
Okay, that's good to know. Do you have any like go-to interview questions that you like to ask students that you feel are revealing to you?
Well, I really think, and I think a lot of admission officers are like this today, we really look at the interview as a conversation and that it's mutual, because I don't want a student just trying so hard to impress me to get in, and me trying so hard to impress them that we're the best school ever. We want to make sure for that fit. And the way you really find a fit is you strip down some of the pretense, and you just try to have an authentic conversation, be honest with each other about your strengths, your interests, all of these things. So when it's flowing really well, it's an authentic conversation that could take different directions. When it can be, if a student's a little shy, or maybe I'm not on my A game to get that conversation going, a question that I like to ask the students from Asia in general, not just China, but from Japan and Korea, is just tell me a moment in your life where you felt really proud of yourself. And the reason for that is that our students from Asia do tend to be more humble than their American counterparts, and they don't often talk about their achievements. And it can really be fun to see them find their voices and share a moment of pride.
Okay, great. Do you have any final advice for families and students who are embarking on the boarding school admissions process?
I think do your research and then follow your heart.
Well said. Yes. Very important. Yes. Don't just follow the rankings. Follow your. Great. Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for chatting with me, and we are looking forward to sharing Pennington with our families.
Well, great. Thank you, Julia, for hosting me today. It was an honor and a privilege, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah,
meeting your students.
I know.